Welcome to Reddit Reader. If you've ever asked the universe for some kind of sign and got it clear as day, what was it and how did it go? When my mom died, I was pretty destroyed. We were very close. I was feeling like I couldn't understand how to live in the world without her. One day I was driving home from work depressed as hell, and I started thinking how much I'd love it if I could get a sign from her. Surprising myself a bit as I'm not at all religious and am highly skeptical about things like signs from the universe. But I missed her so much that I mentally asked the universe for a sign. She really loved birds, so I thought wouldn't it be cool if it came in the form of a bird, maybe a sparrow or even a pigeon or something. I got home, parked my car, and walked up the path to the cottage I was renting. This was in the city of Berkeley, California. As I was unlocking the front door, off to the side, a flash of color caught my eye. I turned to look, and it was a Chinese pheasant. I had no idea what it was. I had to look it up, but if you Google Chinese pheasants, you'll see why I was so blown away. It was brilliantly colored, with gold on its head and back, orange and black bars on its neck, bright red chest, and blue on its wings. The most psychedelic bird I've ever seen. And it was standing on my front porch, a bird native to f***ing China. I had no clue how the hell it could even be there. I thought I had to be dreaming, so I got my neighbor to come see it. We stared at it with our jaws hanging open. Then it sort of squawked and flew away. And it hit me that I had asked my mom, the universe, for a sign, thinking maybe a drab little sparrow or a pigeon, and what I got was a bird that was ridiculously over the top, and it was exactly the kind of joke my mom would have loved. I'm still skeptical and not religious and don't believe in fairies and shit, but that was weird and also great. I was in the depths of despair. I had lost my great job, had to travel 2 hours every day with heavy tools each way to a temporary job I was doing, sitting on the bus, thinking my world was over, and it all kind of got to me all at once, and I began to tear up. Not wanting to bawl my eyes out in public, I held it in, so I asked for something, anything that could show me that life wasn't worthless. A lady I didn't see must have seen how bad I was, or maybe it was just coincidence. But just after I cried out in my head, I heard the words, "Everything is going to be okay." It saved my life. Edit. I had no idea that this would affect you all so much. Sometimes it might be dark and a small spark starts a fire. Sometimes you're the small spark. Be the change you want to see in the world. Similar story, stuck in a horrific job, eating myself to death at McDonald's. I was having a particularly day, and my boss had screamed at me and the other technicians over something that she, the boss, had up. I must have been looking extra miserable because this little old lady comes in. She notices me sitting at a table alone and smiles. She simply says, "Hey, don't let him win." It cut to my core. How could she know my fight? It's like she saw right through my defenses and nailed my situation. A little while later, she was leaving with her food and she smiled again and said, "Have a nice day." And I smiled back and told her, "Thank you, you too." So that's been my mantra ever since. Don't let him win. It's simple, but it got me out of that situation. I was walking. Would have been a 4-hour drive, and I was walking. I straight up begged for a car to stop and pick me up, and literally seconds later, a woman stopped who was traveling all the way to where I was heading. Same town, 4 hours away. What are those odds? Similar thing happened to me. A guy picked me up when I was hitchhiking and was going to drop me off at the train station so I could catch a coach to my hometown 4 hours away. As we were chatting, we realized we were heading to the same town. He was a delivery driver doing drop-offs along the way. He offered for me to stay with him in the car. I helped him map out his deliveries, and he bought me a pub feed and dropped me off outside my parents' place and came in for a cuppa and met them. I'm not superstitious at all, but my uncle is. When my nan passed, he went to see a fortune teller who told him that any time our family sees white feathers around, that's Nan's way of showing us that she's there. I thought it was a load of bullshit and forgot about it. A few years later, I was at a music festival. Everything was coated in dirt and dust being churned up by thousands of people's feet. Even the air was so thick with dust, it was making it hard to see and breathe. I was on the edges of the mosh pit when I started to have my first panic attack. I'd never had one before, didn't know what was happening to me, and I was terrified. I felt like I was being crushed and like I was the only person in the world at the same time. I remember desperately thinking, I don't want to be alone. I don't want to be here alone. I crouched down in the middle of the dirty, dusty crown, and when I opened my eyes, there was a single white feather on the ground, right between my feet. It was perfectly white, no dirt, not stepped on or anything, in a mosh pit. I stared at the feather until I could get my breathing under control and get out of there, and I still have that feather. Your Nan was moshing with you. Don't forget to like this video if you liked it, dislike if you disliked it, and subscribe so you don't miss our next upload.